Hello, and once again welcome to my video. And in today's video we talk about prayers. I believe that prayer is the most important thing besides breathing itself, and more so if you are raised in certain societies or communities. Prayer is basically your bread and butter. And this is why I want to talk about this topic today, because I believe it most certainly affects most of us in more ways than we let on. And the real kicker is, why is it that some of our prayers get answered, why others will never get to see the light of day, no matter how much we beg for them to come to pass? For most religious people, we accept when our prayers don't get answered because we understand our own limitations. We understand that as human beings, we do lack a certain foresight. We accept that we don't see around corners, for instance, and therefore we can't fully deduce things as they really are, or even as they are unfolding in our lives. Therefore, we believe and we put our faith in an external God who we believe starts where we stop, and who we believe acts in our best interest no matter what. It is for this very reason that even when some of our prayers never get answered, we understand and we accept this as a sign that the all-knowing God, the all-knowing Almighty, who has the qualities we obviously don't possess, who knows all and sees all, did not see it fit to grant us this prayer. And we have so many reasons justifying why we didn't get our prayer answered. And the common one being, perhaps we were just not ready and it was just not the right time. We have come up with validation quotes to deal with the disappointment that follows. And some sound like, even when God says no, he says it with love. Or God's time is the best time. Something like that. All this is just to shield us from the powerlessness that we feel when we realize that we are not going to get whatever it is that we thought we deserved or needed. It leaves us with a deep desperation, a disappointment, so to speak, that our logical mind strives to come up with answers or a logical explanation how why others have the very same thing that we asked for, but we don't, or we were refused. So for this reason, we come up with validation slips or justifications, validation slips or justifications of all sorts, so that we feel better. It makes us feel better about our situation. And we say God has something better in store for us, or it's not the right time. And then our disappointment slowly turns into acceptance. And gradually we learn to adjust and maybe pray for something a little more acceptable, depending on what we believe we deserve. Today I want to discuss with you the true meaning of prayer and what I believe serves me in the most profound way, that I believe I must share this perspective with you all, because again, what is the use of good news if it cannot be shared with others? If what I discuss today resonates with your soul, and you truly believe this perspective will serve and benefit you as well as it has me, then all is well. And I'm truly glad that fate has brought us on this path together. However, if it does not resonate with you at all, that is also perfectly fine. However, I encourage you to keep searching for the version of truth that will serve you. And at that point, good luck. In most religious ideologies, prayer can be defined as a verbal request, a petition made to an external deity or God. And when I talk about this external God, what I actually mean is the unexplainable creative power that is considered to be separate from yourself. This creative power is what we have learned to define as God. Because as always, we have to put a label on everything. And of course, that's okay. Anyway, these prayer petitions are made to God, who then evaluates us and grants us our deepest desires, if He sees fit. He grants us these deepest or our deepest desires that we currently lack in our present situation, of which we deeply believe that we need. In the event that we lack something and we desire this need to be realized in our reality, we then say a verbal prayer or a silent one. But we have been told the verbal prayers are more effective. So we instead say a prayer to God to put in a request for this need to be met. According to scripture or the Bible, this approach of having to beg is rather conflicting because we are aware that we live in a world or reality where everything happening to us has pretty much already happened. We are merely experiencing what we can explain as echoes or points in time of a reality that is already existing. Think of it like watching a movie. The movie already exists. What you're watching and experiencing is a frame after frame of a movie that already exists. Or more accurately, I would explain it in terms of a game. When you are playing a video game, all the possible outcomes are already there. Every outcome you can possibly imagine already exists within the game or the programming of the game. All you are really doing is just playing it all out and giving meaning to every experience as you're experiencing it by playing the game. If we go back to scripture or the Bible, it instructs us that if you want something, believe that you already have it, because as a matter of fact, or as a matter of universal law, you actually do. Otherwise, you wouldn't even know you need it. I know this might sound, or it does sound paradoxical or conflicting, so I will back up a little bit for you to grasp what I am trying to, or what I'm getting at. We need to go back to how reality is created and how it works. By now, we are all aware, or most of us are aware, reality is created by thoughts, correct? Thoughts create reality. First of all, an idea must already exist in our thoughts for it to become reality. Ideas that don't exist in our thoughts cannot exist in our reality. Just like you cannot play a scenario within a game that wasn't put in there by the programmer. It just cannot happen. It's the same thing. For instance, you know that when you are playing a video game, you can only have access to the features and scenarios within that level. Unless you are on a higher level, you can access all the lower levels. But if you are on the lower levels, you cannot have access to what's on the upper levels. That's a fact. That brings us to this point. You are only able to perceive that which you are a vibrational match to. And that includes all your thoughts. The thoughts that you are currently experiencing now match your vibrational signature. And for your information, not everyone you meet has access to the thoughts you have. And similar enough, you are not the only one who has access to the thoughts that you're experiencing at this point. So many others are on the same level as you are, playing the same game, and are a vibrational match to you, and have similar thoughts as you. Think of it like tuning into a radio. Whoever tunes into the right frequency will have access to whatever is being broadcasted. And that's another way of explaining telepathy. That's how telepathy works. We define telepathy as the ability to read others' thoughts, although that's not a really accurate way to explain how it works. No one can read your thoughts, not in the context or not in the sense or the way that we normally think, like reading a book. What it is some people can match your vibration to a T. We all have that ability. However, we just don't know how to use it, but others do. These people can match your exact vibration, and once that connection is made, they're able to experience the same thoughts you are experiencing at that point in time. Like I previously said, think of it like tuning into the radio and finding the right frequency. The only thing that separates us, or the only difference why our realities are all so different, is which thoughts are you putting much focus and energy on? Because where energy goes, grows. So which thoughts have you been growing over time, and which thoughts are you suppressing? But of course, I need you to understand that this is a gross simplification to describe how realities are created. But still, you get my point. For you to know that you certainly need something and then decide to take action by praying for it, ask God for your desire, this must have come as an initial thought to you, and by experiencing that thought, you are automatically, vibrationally a match to that idea. And here's the good news. Here's the real good news. You technically already have it, just by virtue of experiencing that particular thought. Thoughts are made out of atoms and are very much alive, just like you and me and everything around us. Everything is made out of atoms. Not long ago, you were just a thought once, an intention of your parents. And now a couple of years later, here we all are, in the flesh, enjoying the finer things in life. All things must exist in the spirit plane or the energetic form before they are manifested into the physical or material plane of existence. Everything that you see around you, all the inventions, music, architecture, clothes, cars, AI, everything began just as a thought in someone else's mind. It took focus and the right action to bring these thoughts and ideas into reality for all of us to enjoy and experience. This cup only existed as a thought once in someone else's mind, and now I can use it. Someone had to act and bring that thought into physical form where we all can see and touch. So, after all this, what is prayer? Well, I'm glad you asked. According to me, prayer is the action of acknowledging that which I know I already have, despite my current state showing otherwise. What prayer is not, however, is a general request made to some deity that exists only outside of myself. Prayer cannot be a request because it would define all non-logic. If you knew and paid attention to how our reality in which we live in works, you know it doesn't make sense. You are not requesting for something that you want because you currently do not have. Instead, you are acknowledging and giving thanks and gratitude for the things that you know you already have, though yet unseen. When you truly understand the principles that govern our three-dimensional reality, so many things will make sense, and it will prevent you from making desperate ploys and or make drastic assumptions at why your life isn't going how you want it to go, or how your life is how it is. For instance, the difference in knowing and believing is a very interesting one. When you pray, you believe without knowing it will come to pass, because it's a request, isn't it? And as it is true about any request, it can either go one way or the other, a yes or a no. And this is hugely based on the belief systems that you currently hold about whatever it is you are asking, by the way. Whether you genuinely believe you deserve it or not. And because you are not aware of the laws that are in play here, when your prayers get granted or get answered, it's a miracle. But is it really? Or is it simply because that's how we were taught or trained to classify good things that happen to us that we fail to explain as miracles? If you were to bring a person who has never seen a light bulb in their lives and doesn't understand how a light bulb works, and you bring them into a dark room and flip the switch and lights come on, will they say it's a miracle then? And when they do, will you then have the right to laugh at them? Because you know it's not a miracle. And you certainly don't pray each time you flip a switch on, because you don't need to. You know how it all works. And you know better that if the light doesn't come on, then the bulb probably needs replacing, or something is not working as it should. And that's the difference between believing and knowing, and that's what sets you apart from the person who doesn't know how a light bulb works. Knowing gives you the power and liberation that a believer does not have and can only dream of having. We have been made to believe that prayer is a separate action or activity that we all must do in order to have a dialogue with and engage with God. This couldn't be further from the truth. Prayer is not separate from you, and never has it ever been. You hear people ask questions like, so you've stopped praying, or you don't pray, as if praying is simply an act that you can choose not to do, or put away like an unwanted furniture. I think everything just keeps getting lost in translation, and we have never been more lost. When we separate ourselves from God, we also created the illusion that prayer is separate from us. And that being the case, we have to consciously engage in a verbal prayer for us to feel good about connecting with God. Go to church once in a while. Show up. And if we don't physically go to church or a mosque or the synagogue, and I don't even know if that's right, but anyway, if we don't go to such places to prove to others and get their approval that indeed we are good people who love God, then we feel bad. And we also judge others who do not do these practices or do not engage in these practices. We literally judge them harshly. If this sounds familiar or something that you do to others, I sure hope it serves you in the way that you truly believe is right. But if, like me, you question these belief systems and sense that something isn't quite right, then let's find other belief systems that are more fulfilling and reflect the truth that we want to explore or experience in this reality. Just like you are not separate from God, and you never can be if you actually think about it and all things considered, in the same way, you cannot separate prayer from man. All you do is pray. For as long as you're alive, you will always pray and talk to God, whether you are doing so consciously or unconsciously. For everything in your reality to be able to manifest, you pray for it to happen. That inner dialogue that you are constantly having with yourself, that is you praying to the God within you. For you to transform your life, you first must transform your inner dialogue, because that is the prayer that is forming your world or your reality. And this happens whether you're aware you're doing it or not. It does not change the fact that it is happening regardless. So you need to get on board with the program and fast. And finally, the reason why some of your prayers don't or will never get answered, or in this case will never manifest into reality, is simply because you alone decided you don't want it to happen. I know that's a bit harsh and it does sound ridiculous, but it's true. I know you have so many questions, and I need you to pay attention for the next 2 minutes because I will explain. People normally will say a prayer because they need something, correct? As we have already established that. They believe that they lack something and they request to God to have this very thing realized or given to them if they deserve it. If we apply the same law that the Bible talks about, that says, if you pray, believe that you have, and it shall be given unto you. Now let's go back to the scenario. What does the normal person who is praying believe he has at the time of saying that prayer? He certainly doesn't believe he already has the object of his prayer. He genuinely believes he does not have it, hence the constant begging and pleading. His whole prayer is based on the idea of, I lack such and such. If you bring the law back, you will get why this prayer won't get answered. The reason why is he believes he does not have, and the Bible clearly states that when you pray, believe that you have, and you shall have an abundance. And this person is literally going against the Bible's instruction. What this person believes at this time is that he does not have that which he is praying for, and therefore he will get exactly that, a reality in which he actually doesn't have that very thing that he is praying for, because that is what he believes he has, the lack of the thing itself. He is intentionally occupying a state in which he believes he does not have, and so indeed he will not have. His prayer has been answered, just not in the way he expected. For everyone who has, more will be given, and he who does not have, even that which he has will be taken away from him. Doesn't the Bible say that? There you have it. If you look at it this way, if you say prayers that are coming from a point of lack, it does not take a prophet ordained by God to tell you your prayer won't manifest, because what you are praying for is more lack of that very same thing you're praying for. The only way you are able to reverse this curse on yourself, because everything is reversible if you know how, you need to start praying from a point of abundance. Believe without seeing that despite your current circumstances, you already have that which you need. And this is not to be mistaken, by the way, with being delusional, because delusion is the refusal to acknowledge your reality. You refuse to see what's right in front of you. However, when you pray, you should acknowledge your current state. You need to acknowledge your reality while embodying the state in which you wish to see yourself occupy. And just like a miracle, your reality will not help but slowly bend to this new reality in which you know you already exist. And that is the difference between a believer and someone who knows how prayers work in this reality. Next time, when you say prayer, even a silent one, please don't beg. That's just wasting time. Instead, acknowledge and say gratitude for that which you know you already have, because you know you already have it. And when you do, make sure that you maintain the same vibration that you have, and that is why all your habits must change. Be ready to die to your old self. Your old self has to die, and that is how you create room for new creation. No one can pour into a cup that is already full. And the Bible has a verse on the same. It says that it is important that you have faith that is steadfast. Your faith needs to be unwavering in your belief that your reality has transformed and you already have that which you need. And as a parting gift, I will say this last thing. Never express your gratitude in the future tense. Your gratitude in the future tense. Your gratitude must always be rooted in the present tense, like this. I am grateful for my new job. I am grateful for my new car or my new house, my new home. I love driving my children to school in our new car. Something like that. The problem with saying affirmations rooted in the future tense is the future is in the future. And one thing about the future is it is indefinite. And if you have your affirmations in the future tense, what you're doing is you're pushing your manifestations into an indefinite future. And all you will experience is the wanting of the very thing that you want, but not experience the having of it. This is because the wanting of something is also a separate experience in itself. You can have that experience indefinitely. It is very possible. And that's what a lot of people go through. And pretty much if that happens, you are the only one that's prolonging it. It's not God. And realizing that you alone are what's been standing in the way of you experiencing a better life and a reality that you wanted sucks. However, now that you know and no longer just believe, but you know, go ahead and make something fulfilling out of your life. I hope that this was helpful and enlightening for you. If you have any topics that you wish for me to talk on, let me know. But however, keep an eye out for my new videos, and as always, stay safe. Thank you.